So, you want to chat music?
Sure.
Or would you rather just chat steak?
I suppose eventually we have to chat music.
Yeah, fair enough. We could do the all-meat interview that we talked about last time.
Oh, we did talk about an all-meat interview. Nah, that's cool.
All right, fine.
Your call.
So, how are things in terms of, not just in terms of Mares of Thrace, but in terms of Therese? You've got lots going on.
Things are pretty... I'm kind of scrambling to keep up with everything right now. Been doing a lot of... The PR machine is going full blast, and it's... this is the first time I've ever had the luxury... It still feels like a luxury to me of a label's PR machine, so it's nice to not be handling everything myself. So
yeah, absolutely. I've noticed that it seems this time around for the new album there seems to be about 100 more interviews a week than there were for the last one. It just seems like there's a lot of people that are clamoring to talk to you right now, which is great.
I haven't even posted. I'm trying to only post the funny ones, because a couple of them, like, you know, I mean, obviously there's going to be like some redundancy. Like there's only so many questions you can ask people in bands, but some of them are starting to blur together a little bit. But
gotcha.
I try, and if somebody thinks it's important enough to want to talk to me about something, I try and come up with something somewhat interesting to say.
Well, I have to admit that a couple of the ones that you posted recently had me laughing out loud.
Awesome.
I will never send you an email interview ever, because I could only imagine what I would get back from you.
Yeah, but I think you wouldn't ask my least favorite questions.
Well, I might, just for fun.
Well, you know, I make sure you do it on a day when I'm feeling like full of wise ass.
Isn't that every day?
True, but some days more than others. Like, seriously, like, if somebody actually asked me what does it feel like to be a hot chick in a metal band, quote unquote, if somebody asked me that in person or like over the phone, oh, I'd wise ask them, or I'd just answer my default rebuttal, which is making fart noises.
Nice.
Like, which I can't, the onomatopoeia just doesn't translate as well over email.
It's true, but the Thai ladyboy answer in the one that I read was quite interesting.
Well, it's just such a dumb question. There's no two ways about it. It's a stupid question.
Agreed. It's funny that people are still asking that in this day and age.
There's
sad, I guess.
Sometimes I feel like I'm constantly getting a lot of mileage out of the phrase, like, I can't believe it's 2012 and ...
Yeah, fair enough.
Like, elected American officials stating that the Earth is 6,000 years old, like in the year 2012, like that, you know, that makes the fact that people are asking us questions about being the quote-unquote hottest chicks in metal, blah, blah, blah. It makes it seem quite enlightened and progressive, comparatively.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. Now that you're spending some time down in the U.S., are you following U.S. politics a little bit more, or have you always been interested in the devil to the south?
First of all, I think that there's a very silly, unthinking Canadian nationalism. Like, it's prejudice against Americans, really, and it's this sort of snide sense of superiority that we're better. And I think that's very unfounded, and I've had Canadian friends like just blanket dismiss all Americans as stupid rednecks, and I think that's really, really unfair. That having been said, there is some whack shit going on there. Like I said, elected officials at one Arizona senator, I think he was, who made the statement that the Earth has been around for 6,000 years, which is longer than anyone had environmental laws, and it's doing just fine, and nobody's managed to destroy it yet. So we should not worry too much, not sweat the environment, and just like mine the uranium. Was what he was saying, and I can't count how many kinds of stupid that statement is. I read a statistic the other day that 43% of Canadians consider themselves irreligious, whereas 9% of Americans do. Now, that made me feel a little bit of, like, unthinking, chest-thumping, double-double from Tim Hortons chugging national pride.
I don't even know where to go with that one.
We have managed to not be talking about music. We managed to not stay on top of it for very long. So.
No, that's true. Very true. So, what took you to Chicago to Sanford Parker for the new album?
Well, our friend Chris Bruni, who runs the label Profound Lore, we were sort of casually throwing around the idea of him doing our record, and he recorded Sanford Parker, or he recommended Sanford Parker really, really highly, and said that Sanford Parker's style would suit, or his aesthetic would suit us. And I mean, Sanford's got a pretty awesome resume, what with the Brutal Truth and the Yob and the Pelican and the Knockmistium and whatnot. So we ended up meeting Sanford at a Knockmistium show in Calgary, and we totally hit it off. He's an awesome guy, and so that just it all worked out. We contemplated flying him here. That didn't end up happening. It was a good excuse to visit Chicago. I'm really fond of it, so the tacos and the craft beer. I don't know how it is in Thunder Bay, but in Calgary at like the after hours when you're drunk after late at the bar out with your friends, what you go for after the bars close is pizza.
Right.
Or like there's a dude wandering through the bar selling pizza. In Chicago, it's a guy named Claudio, and he sells homemade tamales.
Nice.
I thought I died and gone to tasty, tasty heaven.
You are a fan of the tamales and the tacos, from what I can tell.
Yeah, you just can't get legit Mexican food in Canada.
Fair enough.
I find it near impossible. Like, I keep having to explain to people that real Mexican food doesn't have ground beef or cheddar cheese in it, and nobody believes me. And
there's no liquid ground beef in real Mexican food? Or
Shocking, I know. Wow. Does that mean that they have taco time in Ontario?
Taco time? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In Thunder Bay we have 3? Yes.
Okay, because I remember, like, it touts itself as very authentic in food courts here, and straight out of Lethbridge, Lethbridge, Alberta, if I recall correctly, so I question its authenticity.
Fair enough.
Anyway, yeah, so that was how we met Sanford, and it was a good match, I thought.
Definitely. I think so, too. Now, how long were you and Steph working on writing The Pilgrimage? Or jamming out The Pilgrimage? Was it pretty much done by the time you guys went on tour last time? Yep.
It was. We like to road test songs, particularly before we record them, because, you can't ever really, I don't know, it just makes them real somehow. And also, I don't like fucking around in the studio. Like some people write in the studio. Oh, I can't do that. It just feels like sloppy unpreparedness to me. So
fair enough. And now you and Steph were jamming pretty regularly prior to going out on the road. Once you guys got back from tour, was it another regime of regular jam sessions, rather?
Well, we're grumpy if we don't practice twice a week.
Gotcha.
we get separation anxiety. It's funny.
And how is that going to work with you going to Chicago?
We're living in denial.
Okay.
And we both have Skype, and we both have, like, mobile recording setups, so we're going to do the best we can. But I mean, like, she's going to school in Edmonton too, and because we had to do this because neither of the school programs we wanted were offered in Calgary. So we figured, we'll just tough it out, and then we'll see where we're at afterwards. But the intent is very, very much to keep the project going and to eventually wind up in the same city again. So
excellent. Well, I think you guys can do it. If there's any musical love affair that could withstand the distance, it is yours and Stephanie's.
Well, it's reassuring to me because, long distance bands are just what people do now.
It's true. And at least the two of you have met each other.
Pretty much like a lot of the more career-y bands I know, like the ones that like do a fair bit of touring. Lots and lots of them have bands living in different provinces / states / country. So I'm not too worried about it. I mean, like mostly what I'm worried about is I'm going to miss my best friend. But gotta do what you gotta do.
Absolutely. And it's just a year, the program you're in, right?
15 months. Usually it's 2 years. Most places offered a BA, and I didn't want another bachelor's degree, but this place offers 2 years, and then there's an even shorter version for people who already have a degree.
Gotcha. So,
yeah, I thought it was pretty funny that Decibel wanted to talk to me about that.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about. I barely need an excuse to talk about video games. So.
Fair enough. When you guys are on tour and you're heading out on a pretty lengthy tour shortly, how many different video game systems do you have with you at one time?
Dude, I'm really into playing stuff on my iPhone these days. I was totally I totally laughed and like turned up my nose at Apple loyalists, but then my BlackBerry finally kicked the bucket and I got an iPhone. Oh, best decision ever.
I see.
Yeah, like mobile gaming is like, it's a pretty huge market sector right now. So, other than that, though, I do have my trusty Nintendo DS. It's always great because this happened pretty much at every stop on tour. I'll be like sitting at the merch table, just killing time playing my DS, and somebody will walk up behind me and go, "Oh, you're playing blank," and then I'll have found my new best friend for the evening.
Awesome. Video game bonding at metal shows. Who knew?
Dude, as somebody pointed out to me the other day, like the Venn diagram overlap of nerds and metalheads is very large.
Agreed. I think that's true. I, on the other hand, never really got into video games.
And that's fine. Maybe your sons will.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they both will. You're talking earlier about road testing songs. Obviously, you've got a brand new record. And you've got the album before it, so you've got a hefty amount of songs already to take on tour with you. Will you be playing new stuff on tour as well?
You mean new stuff that's not on either two records?
Sorry, yes.
I tried really, really hard to not write once the writing process for this album was done, is because, everybody's in love with the last thing they did, and that's what they want to play the most. So I was like, okay, we have to support this record, then we're going to be apart for a while, so I don't want to be sitting on a bunch of new awesome songs and then just be pining after them and wishing for their glorious birth and not being able to. So you could call me severely creatively constipated right now.
Gotcha. And just eager to burst forth at some point.
Yeah, but it might be a while. So.
Yeah, fair enough. So you'll have to put your efforts into something else.
Yeah, or just be a serial killer.
So, well, there's that too. Yeah, absolutely. When you are writing, do you hear your vocal passages while you're actually writing it, or is it something that once the music is done, you kind of sit down and listen to it, and then the vocals come to you?
I'm a big fan of the afterthought vocal school, which is just sort of like random Tourette's outbursts while the riffs are playing.
Okay.
Like I think vocalists are overrated, personally. I think historically they've been... if it were up to me, like initially I wanted this project to be instrumental, but it didn't work out that way. So. Is that
just because you have these random Tourette's bursts? And they ended up being recorded by accident?
Nah, it was somewhat of a conscious decision. I mean, two people, like a two-piece has like as few colors in the palette, if you will, to work with. So I wanted to flesh it out a little bit. So there's a bit of that, but also, I don't like we're already in so many niches. The instrumental band is like it's another niche, and it's a fairly limiting niche. So I was a little leery of that.
Right.
But I mean, like we have a lot of tunes that are almost instrumental. So
true enough.
It's mostly like I just find playing guitar more fun than singing. So it's purely a self-indulgence thing.
Gotcha. And do you pick passages where you don't have to pay too much attention to the guitar to sing over, or is it still just it accidentally comes out here?
It just happens when it happens.
Gotcha. Now, do you guys record everything during your jams so that you remember where you were last time?
Not really. Like we used to, but we both have pretty good memories, so our songs aren't that complicated. So if we were like Dragon Force, maybe we'd make a little more use of the Jam Space 4 track, but no, so far so good.
Fair enough. You'd probably have to have more fingers on your hand in order to be Dragon Force and play a baritone guitar, I think.
There's that one part in that Dragon Force video where there's like a little inset on the screen and it zooms onto the dude's hand as he's soloing. I always wanted to do something like that for one of our videos, but have it in one of the places where I'm playing like a one-note riff. Yeah, check this motherfucker's man, kind of thing.
You should do that for your next video.
Our next video should be finished probably in the next few days.
Excellent.
I'm pretty stoked about it. We were kind of stumped as to how we were going to top the last one, but I think we've done a pretty good job.
Awesome. And what's the video for?
It's for the song The Perpetrator.
Nice.
And it features many of Steph's little babies quite prominently.
Excellent.
Her little 8-legged babies.
Did I reach he has something along the lines of 54 8-legged babies at this point?
Those aren't all 8-legged. I think she's counting the various weirdos like the millipedes and the cave scorpions and stuff in there too, gotcha. And the praying mantises. So 54, I think, is probably the count of everything, not just the tarantulas.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Her menagerie in her living room is quite spectacular. I've had, because we always try to put up touring bands who come through, and we've had people walk into her living room and decline to stay at her house.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and people are freaked out by them. I mean, she's never had a mishap, except for the one time she lost a tarantula in her dad's convertible when she was 15.
Oh, and that was at least a year ago.
Oh, aren't you a sweetheart?
Now, when you guys go on tour, who looks after the menagerie?
The neat thing about tarantulas is they are the world's most low-maintenance pets. You need to feed them once a month, pretty much.
Gotcha.
So, and lots of them are naturally, they're evolved for desert climates, so they don't need a ton of water either.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. I did not know that. See the things you learn. All about what you can eat late night in Chicago and what the care and maintenance of tarantulas.
We try and be informative.
Indeed. The tour that you are about to embark on at the end of this month, the 2 days after the album comes out, you're heading out on tour?
Mm-hmm.
That's taking you kind of back and forth between the States and Canada?
Yeah, we go, there's no way I could, Alberta's a weird and awkward place to tour from.
Right.
I couldn't say no to the West Coast, just because it's just one of our favorite places to play. So we go west to Vancouver and then dip into Seattle, Portland, Olympia. Then we come back up to Calgary, play our own CD release party, and then we go east.
Gotcha.
And then we do the Loop-de-Doo in southern Ontario and then cross into Maine. Then we do a little bit down the East Coast and then back up through the Midwest. And I'm cleverly using this tour to move my guitar gear to Chicago.
Very nice. That is clever of you.
Yeah, I couldn't, it was cost a little too much to ship.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, anybody who's ever tried to lift an orange cabinet would pretty much do anything they could to avoid shipping one of those.
Yeah. Now, living in Chicago going to make it easier for you to get baritone strings?
Fuck, I hope so. The best music store I've ever been to in my entire life was in Chicago. It's called Andy's Music. We went there because at our stop in Chicago last year, Steph had bent her double kick pedal, and so we went there to get it fixed. It's a series of weird interconnected rooms in this old building, and the walls are completely covered with instruments. In the first room, I couldn't even identify any of the instruments on the wall, and the walls were covered. It was a magic place. And then I went downstairs and talked with this old guy about Voivod for 45 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It wasn't Sean Palmerston, was it?
No, then it would have been hey, Sean, what's up?
So, from the sounds of things, we may have you defecting pretty soon.
Defecting
from Canada to Chicago.
Well, I mean, I have to live there for like a year and a bit.
But like, it sounds like you're madly in love with the place, and we may never get you back to Canada.
I'm a Canadian, honestly. Like, part of when you have to get your border paper, you have to get your immigration paperwork processed at the border. Part of what you have to do as a student is to convince the border guard that you don't intend to put down roots, that you intend to go back to Canada.
Right.
And I really don't think I'll have a hard time doing that because I'm a Canadian. I really, really am.
Despite the fact that you can't get good Mexican food here.
I will trade free doctors. I will trade the fact that our most conservative politicians are still more liberal than their liberal politicians. I will trade 43% irreligious population. All these things I will gladly... I would not trade for Mexican food.
I'm going to hold you to that.
And that's saying a lot because I really love Mexican food.
I'm starting to get that feeling.
Another thing that I intend to totally take advantage of is, like, I'll be freaking out about some band, like, that's been a major influence on me or whatever, that tour Canada once every 10 years, and I'll be freaking out about going to see them. And then my American friends will be like, yeah, they play here, like, once every 3 months.
Right.
I think it was the Melvins. Like, I've seen, the last time the Melvins played Canada, I'm pretty sure I wasn't 18 yet and I couldn't go to the bar to see them. But they played here at the Sled Island Festival a few years ago and I was totally flipping my shit. And then my friend from Chicago was just like, yeah, they play here once every 6 months.
Yeah, you're not going to get much homework done.
Don't say that. Tuition's really expensive.
And unfortunately, rock and roll doesn't pay tuition these days.
Oh, dude, this really inflammatory article I just saw get posted on Facebook today, it kind of did the rounds. It was a guy in Georgia Strait who is denigrating bands who set up Kickstarter accounts to get their friends and loved ones to, like, fund their projects and stuff like that, and, like, artists that rely on stuff like that to finance their projects. And he was just tearing them a new one, saying, blah, 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 boo-hoo-hoo, the world doesn't owe you anything. I don't know. I kind of, like, I didn't like what he worded it in a very condescending way, but by and large, I find myself somewhat agreeing. Like, Steph and I have always funded our band with our day jobs. Mm-hmm. That having been said, I mean, I remember Ezra Levant saying a little while ago that anybody who gets a government arts funding grant is a no-good loser whose music sucks too much to commercially stand on its own 2 feet. And I don't agree with that either.
Yeah.
So.
That's a pretty inflammatory statement too, I think.
Yeah, you'll notice the Factor logo on the back of our album.
And that is A-OK.
It's A-OK with me too.
And now, I spoke briefly with the aforementioned Mr. Palmerston earlier today, mm-hmm. and he was saying that the vinyl pressing is a go.
Oh, is it? Is it going to be ready by the time we leave?
Oh, see, that I don't know.
Okay.
But
yeah, it is coming out on vinyl. There's been quite a bit of demand for it. See, one thing I love about Facebook is its capability for direct marketing. Mm-hmm. Like, when I want to know what t-shirt design I should make or blah, 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 or if I need help, like, booking a city, I just ask the people who are fans of our band on Facebook. It's amazing. But I asked them if anybody wanted the record on vinyl, and a bunch of people did.
Absolutely.
Oh, and that's Sean, bless his heart. Thanks to Sonic Onion, I have to make a lot less trips to the post office these days.
I'm betting that, yeah. And going to the post office can be a very not fun thing to do.
I mean, it's neat because I get to impress the post office clerk when I'm like, yeah, check out what hot shit I am. Somebody in Luxembourg bought my CD, and somebody in Indiana bought my CD because I'm a big deal. And that's why I have to do all these mail orders myself.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of impressing them.
Yeah, it's not really impressive at all.
No.
She's like, get a job, you hippie. Just kidding.
You and your patchouli stink.
That smell makes me gag.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. The artwork for the pilgrimage, was that you again this time?
That was not me. That was a Chicago artist named Scott Shellhammer. We met because he was playing guitar. He was filling in on guitar for the Milwaukee band Enabler, who we toured with last year.
Yes.
Of course, you were. Yeah, you were there, of course, and so was he. And I wanted him to do our artwork like before we met, because I just like through random connections on Facebook I saw it, and I was like, "You are the best metal artist I've seen in recent memory."
And then you ended up on tour together.
Yep. Also, his art is like real art, like the art that I've done for. The various art that I've done for albums and shirts and stuff is totally fake art. Like, I just made it in a computer. But the art he did for our album is like 24 by 36 giant acrylic paintings.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm easily into, as like I work primarily in digital, and I'm always intimidated by painters and sculptors. They're like, I'm the noob of the art world, and they're like the old masters, the Flemish masters, as it were. So.
Fair enough. They're the splinter to your Donatello?
Exactly. It's Splinter to totally kick Donatello's ass.
Yes. Does he have the original, or do you guys get to keep the original?
Yeah, we have an ongoing discussion about it.
Gotcha.
He says he would like to keep it and sell it, and I say, well, I'd really like that in my living room, so how about if I buy it? And he's all, well, I can't charge money from you. And I'm like, well, what if I want to pay you money for it? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Fair enough. So all you listeners, keep your eyes on the web, because that may go up for sale, and then Therese will be knocking on your door to buy it from you.
I'll kill you. I'll kill you and rob your house.
That's not very nice, but true. Well, Therese, thanks so much for taking some time to speak to me today. I really appreciate it.
Good time. My phone's just about to die. I guess I played too much Shining Force 2 on it today.